we're going to do our roll call.
Commissioner Markham.
Here.
Commissioner Miller is absent with notice. Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Smiley.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson is here.
I'm here.
Okay, he's here. Commissioner Weipert.
I'm here.
Commissioner Smith Charles.
Present.
You have quorum.
Wonderful. I would like to ask Commissioner Smiley to lead us in the pledge today.
I'd be happy to, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I raised my hand like I was taking the oath at first, like, oh, wait.
I always want to say amen.
I just do anyway.
All right, so the item number 4 on the agenda is approval of the minutes. I will take a motion to do so. Moved by Commissioner Winnie Taylor, supported by Commissioner Gwen Markham. Any changes, corrections, updates to the minutes? Those include a closed session as well. Seeing none, we can do a voice vote. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same. The affirmatives have it, so that motion carries. Next is the approval of our agenda. Take a look. Looks good to you. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda for today. Moved by Commissioner Smiley, supported by Commissioner Taylor. If there is no discussion or anything like that, we can do a voice vote to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? All right, the affirmatives have it. So then we are at public comment. Item 6, this is an opportunity for the public to speak to the committee on items actually on this agenda, and it's limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here who'd like to address this committee? Seeing no one making their way to the front of the room, I will go ahead and close our first public comment. That takes us into communications. We have 2 items, 7A, 7B. 7A is Facilities Management Quarterly Report 2025 CIP 3rd quarter. B is Water Resources Commissioner Monthly Report Public Works Building August 2025. So I'll take a motion to receive and file those, and then we can discuss them if anyone has any further questions. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, supported by Commissioner Smiley. We do have members of facilities here and WRC. So if you do have any thoughts or additional insights you are looking for, we can take a moment for that. Otherwise, we can properly vote. All right.
Are we voting on both or just one?
Yes, both to receive and file.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Great, that motion carries. And we will then move on into item 8 on the agenda. 8A is a presentation from the Office of Sustainability 2024 Annual Report on Sustainability. We have Julie Lyons-Fricker here. She might be accompanied by others who she can feel free to introduce. And we will the motion would be to receive and file, and we can do that before or after, whatever your pleasure is, committee. Sounds like after is fine?
Sure.
All right, so Ms. Fricker-Lyons, welcome, or Lyons-Fricker, excuse me, welcome to our
Thank you.
meeting today.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Floor is yours.
Appreciate the time to come and give you a quick overview of what our office did last year, a calendar year 2024. You should have received the annual report, and I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly in hopes that it leaves time for questions at the end, and we'll be happy to engage in those. So as mentioned, I'm Julie Lyons-Fricker. I am the new Chief Sustainability Officer for the Office of Sustainability here at Oakland County. And our quick agenda for these slides, I just want to do a quick overview of what is sustainability and then go through our 2024 overview for you. So typically, I'd like to get started just giving a quick definition of sustainability. It's the principle of meeting our own needs now without compromising the needs of future generations. And it's typically described in 3 pillars. One is for people, one is for prosperity, and the other is for the planet. So a lot of the work that we do is based on the intersection of those 3 pillars. And you can see when there's an overlap of, say, the planet and prosperity, we get things like green jobs and energy efficiency. When we have an overlap with the planet and people, we have things like clean air and water for all, access to green spaces. And then the overlay for prosperity and people are things like workers' rights, business ethics, and affordable housing. Here are the 8 strategic goals. I'm sure you're all familiar with these, and you can see that there is one in particular for environmental sustainability. So that one is spelled out exactly, but what I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is that the other goals here on the list have sustainability embedded in them in certain ways. For example, the first one, thriving and inclusive economy, that's the prosperity pillar, right? And healthy residents, that's the people pillar. Skilled education and educated workforce, that's the intersection of people and prosperity. So I just wanted to lay that out as a bit of a foundation here for you. One of the goals that really guides the work here at the Office of Sustainability comes from County Executive Coulter. He's given us an overarching goal for greenhouse gas reduction. And we actually have 2 goals. One is a long-term goal, and that is to be net zero emissions by 2050. But we also have an interim goal that is due by 2035 to reduce our emissions by 50% based on a 2018 baseline. So we did in 2021, we did this inventory, but it was on 2018 data. And you can see here on the chart for county operations where our greenhouse gas emissions come from. And the bottom blue portion is buildings and facilities, which makes up more than 75% of our emissions. So that really shows us where our opportunities lie. And it also, and I'll talk a little bit about this more later, really shows the connection between the Office of Sustainability and the Office or the Department of Facilities Management. We have lots of opportunities to work together there. So again, that's where we are going to focus most of our time for the next many years. But I just want to point out that the second highest is our vehicle fleet, and that is also part of facilities. And so, again, there are many connections there. Okay, so then we're going to get into the report. What I would like to just mention before we get started is the office is relatively new. I think it was started in 2022. And we have been working particularly in the internal work. So understanding what our buildings need, tree planting, things that are internal to our operations. But we also recognize that there are lots of opportunities to work externally with our cities, villages, and townships, with nonprofits in Oakland County, with businesses, et cetera. So a lot of what has occurred in 2024 and probably for the next few years will remain heavy on the internal, but we plan to extend ourselves into the external. Okay, so we'll just get into some of the actions here. So I'd like to just start with grant funding and assistance, alternative funding assistance that we pulled in 2024. The first is an EAGLE grant from the state of Michigan for energy management for $100,000. And then the second is a formula grant from the Department of Energy, the EECBG grant. This one I have an asterisk by because we earned it first in 2024, but we haven't received it yet. And that is a little bit of an administration situation, but then also when the new federal administration changed, there were cuts in the DOE staff, cuts in what they were allowing to go out as grants that were already earned. And so we are still managing this, and it looks good that we will be getting this money. But that's why the asterisks are there. We earned it last year, but I think we're gonna have to pull it in this year. And then also we earned some technical assistance in the neighborhood of 80 hours from the National Renewable Energy Labs to do some assessing of projects that we're thinking about. And one in particular is the Judson Building, like some thoughts about what could be done there for the updating the HVAC system, et cetera. So in 2024, we were still operating under a one-year strategic plan. Now we are with everyone else and doing a 5-year strategic plan, which has been really interesting and gives a much broader picture, as you know, makes sense. But these are the 5 goals that we operated under in 2024. You can see the number 1 is that greenhouse gas emissions reduction, because that's one of our overarching goals from Executive Coulter. But we also had community engagement, the Pontiac redevelopment, materials management, and then some internal policies and procedures. And I'll just go through some of the actions that we accomplished based on those 5 topics. So the greenhouse gas reduction goal, we had fleet transition. There were 2 new fleet EVs added in 24-25. They're pursuit rated Chevy Blazers for the sheriff's office. And it's kind of a pilot to see how those work for them. And then our first EV station was put in the BOC parking lot. I'm sure that was great to see right after all of these years.
More, because it was
Yeah.
full when I tried to plug in this morning,
Okay,
so I'm.
good to know, good to know.
Yeah.
And this brings up something I'm really looking forward to coming to this committee to present maybe more frequently, maybe twice a year, to let you know what's happening so it's not all a surprise. And if that sounds good to you, we'll get that on the books also. We can talk about the EV chargers that are being worked on right now, et cetera. Okay, so if we move over to building decarbonization, which is also part of that reduction goal, is that we're in the process of a comprehensive campus energy assessment. Facilities hired an energy manager to really understand what's going on with our utilities, start using energy conservation and energy efficiency as a way to reduce our consumption, reduce our costs. We have interior LED bulbs being installed as time and funding permits during the year. And then just a reminder that we earned that EAGLE grant for this particular work.
I will say that yesterday in one of the budget hearings, I don't remember which one, questions were asked about the purchasing solar energy as opposed to, generating. And are we tracking how much money we're saving by doing that?
Yes.
I've just put that on your radar because when it comes to,
Yeah.
I said, well, we'll be seeing sustainability in a different hearing, and they were like, well, no, I'm just talking about energy. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, sustainability is energy.
Yeah, you're
Facilities management is energy. So yeah, we would be happy to. And if I only have a short period of time to do this, but maybe we could talk afterward and I can let you know.
It's okay. It's Mike Spiz who's asking the most questions at all of the hearings, so I just give you a heads up. That's
Okay.
going to be a question.
All right, sounds great. So the next goal is our materials management goal. Last summer, we kicked off the single stream campus recycling program.
Finally.
That's for employees and the public. We partnered with facilities and HR for the rollout. Second one is, or the third goal is Pontiac redevelopment. We've been invited to sit at the table to talk about sustainability at the beginning of the development process so that it's embedded in, the schematic design and as it moves forward. And I'm very happy to say that the contracted architecture company, HED, that we have is very forward-thinking with sustainability, and they were open to it and helped us understand what opportunities there were. The last goal was about the policies and procedures and so forth. And last year, we were able to earn 4 awards for our work. The 2024 Lead for Cities and Communities Gold, which is a great accomplishment. There are only a few counties in the country that have Lead for Cities Gold. And so we should be very proud of ourselves and recognize, some of what we found are gaps, are things that we can work on to make this even better. And then we participate with Michigan Green Communities every year they give the awards in the next year. So in 2024, we earned the 2023 gold. And just a quick heads up, we've earned gold again for 2024 and 2025. So on my next slide deck, you'll see that one. And then Kelly Humes, one of our staff here, she moved this forward, the electric vehicle adoption leadership. So we earned bronze in a new award grouping, and expect that to move to silver and gold as we progress with our work here. And then, I guess this is the last goal, community engagement. What I mentioned about us really focusing on internal operations is basically all of the accomplishments that you've just seen. But this is really external facing. Each year we host a CVT sustainability conversations event and ask them what topics they're interested in. And so we survey them ahead of time and they help design the agenda for us so that when they come, they're getting the information, the resources that they are in need of. And this is the picture of last year of our staff and a couple US Green Building Council staff who came to present us with that Lead for Cities Gold plaque. We had 21 of the 62 CVTs at our second event, so we felt like that was a pretty good showing. We're starting to plan the third annual, and we'll continue to press so that we can get as much varied and diverse feedback from the different CVTs as possible. And then the other big external facing project was the Oakland Saves project, and most of you probably know about the Oakland Saves. That was where we were given $5 million of ARPA funding to create an energy efficiency rebate program for residents in Oakland County. They had to be homeowners, and there were two tiers. One was an income qualified tier, and the other was for everyone else. We ended up allocating that $5 million in 4.5 days. We served just about 1,100 households and were able to leverage the $5 million that we put in to about 7.3 million. And that's because the second tier was a cost share. So the people who wanted to work under tier 2 got 20% from our program and paid the 80% back into the economy of Oakland County. So we were really happy for that one, and we'll be asking over and over if anybody knows where we can fund 2.0. Let us know, because it worked really well. We had a lot of people on the wait list, and we recognize that there is a great need for this kind of work. Just a couple details about this. 47 of our 62 CVTs had residential participation. We had 52 contractors of the 90 that were from Oakland County. So this was really like hyper-local focused. We found that the highest percentage of improvements was the building shell, lifetime energy savings for the people who participated, for electricity in the neighborhood of $734,000, for gas, $2.8 million. And then back to the greenhouse gas emissions stuff that we work on, there is an estimated 17,900 tons of CO2 emissions will be avoided over the lifetime of those pieces of equipment. So then, I'm not sure if I have time.
I would say 1 minute.
Okay, sure, and I wanted to just show this story map. This is a story map about Oakland Saves that 2 of the Office of Sustainability staff worked on. And am I able to do this?
I'll have to
Okay.
scroll it for you.
So it talks a little bit about what Oakland Saves is, has some pictures from our visit from the White House.
Yeah. Oak Park.
We have some, in Oak Park. And if you keep scrolling, you can go a little bit faster. We talk about how the program worked. And then some basic, what is energy efficiency? And I just wanted to show you this because I would invite you to have a look. And then this is where it's really interesting. So we have some individual impacts. So the first person was Latoya in Pontiac, and you can see she's number 1 there. When we move down to number 2, here's some warmth and safety in Leonard. Number 3, furnace for Bonnie and Waterford. And if you click on these, you get to read the story about people who were helped by this program and Oakland County residents. Okay, yeah, you can just keep scrolling through. And then there's a little bit more information about the county impact and then where the funding went within Oakland County, which items were purchased. And then talks a little bit about resiliency and energy burden for some households and how this is meant to help that. And then we roll into a lot of thank yous because it really was a group effort between Michigan Saves, the Board of Commissioners, and
Joe Biden.
that's it. So that link is here. If you'd like to spend some more time having a look at it, that would be great. Can you go back to the slide deck? Okay, thank you. Oh, that was seamless. So there are the for staff that we have in the Office of Sustainability at this point, and I'm open for questions. Thank you for the time.
Great job, Julie.
Thank you.
Job. And we are open to any questions from commissioners that might have percolated from my experiences in what feels like another life. I used to do energy management.
Oh, cool.
As a budding 20-something-year-old, and remembered all of the stuff like the building envelope, you know, do you switch out the bulbs at the same time or do you do them over a period, and just all the things that go into a facility, if you will, being energy efficient. So it's exciting to hear our progress there. In those experiences, I do recall buildings and what do they call it? The fleet are typically at the higher end of where the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do we account for our air traffic, you know, the
So in
emissions
the,
there?
yeah, I know what you're saying. So in the 2018 greenhouse gas emissions inventory, the energy consumption for the airport, so they are a partner with their data, but it wasn't for the airplanes taking off because there are too many owners.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't feasible for AECOM to pull that information, and we are working on an updated greenhouse gas emissions inventory right now, trying to, you know, have our first one to compare to the baseline from 2018. And so we're thinking about, is the way that AECOM did it in the past, does it still make sense? And we are doing this in-house because one of the memberships that we pay for gives us the software to do this that many local governments across the country use and many other municipalities globally use. And so it's pretty user-friendly, and we think we can do it. So the answer is not for the planes, but yes for the building and those facilities.
Okay, very good. The 2024 lead for cities and communities, you know, congrats to Oakland County.
Yeah.
Are they taking into consideration just our footprint or the county's
It's
full?
for the whole county.
Okay, so
so-
it could be, you know, Hazel Park, Lyon, South Lyon, Holly,
Yeah.
all considered in this award.
Well, I think it's more the institutions and the facilities and the buildings that the county owns.
In
So
those
like
places.
Parks and Rec, all of those parks really helped us get
I bet.
points for green space, right?
Yes.
And access, you know, residential access, et cetera. So we didn't dive into any of the cities, villages, or townships information for that
Specifically.
program.
Okay, and the last thing for me is that story map was so cool. Thank you for having a link to it in the PDF, so folks can take a little more time and look at it. But the graphics with where the funding had gone, like I've been here a mere for some odd years, and I remember getting like a dashboard or some kind of visual of where like the ARPA money was going or whatever that was before I got here, that other tranche of funding. You know, it was like pulling teeth to know exactly where things were going. You gave it to us without even having to ask, so I certainly appreciate that, and it'll help us to digest what we've heard today. So I've said all I need to say. Any other things from commissioners?
I would say thank you for that very much. I'll pass that along to Tiffany Brown and Nicole Card from the office who
Yeah.
worked on this together.
Please do.
Okay. In partnership with DPC, I should say. So one of the things that we're recognizing is that there are a lot of connections to be made and silos to be broken down. So we'll
And
talk more about
DPC
that for
is-
2025. Department of Public Communications.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. So, yeah, I appreciate the work, just generally speaking. I had a little thought with 31 Judson you were talking about, and I know that we were talking about a solar array at the top of the building. I'm wondering if, I would be remiss if I didn't remind myself and everyone else that there's a river that our buildings and will be built on top of, and are we exploring hydro as well? Obviously, that's a much more expensive project than slapping a solar panel on top, but
Like
it's there.
hydro energy.
Yeah,
Well, we did talk a little bit about daylighting the Clinton River.
right.
And the cost is prohibitive. And we incorporated the conversation with Parks and Rec because they had all of the old maps and data, and also WRC, and it never rose to a position where it could be considered as a viable option.
If-
And no, we did not think of hydro because it sounds like in the summer, there's not a high enough flow even for it to be a running river if it was daylighted,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So, and WRC has more information about that, and if you wanna, have more details, we can connect offline and I can get you what I know.
Sure.
But I will say that we did look into geothermal at Judson, and its cost was substantially more than an all-electric HVAC system, which is what we ended up going with.
Sure,
So it will be as efficient as possible with the best price point.
sure. I knew we were talking about daylighting it, but I thought that was aesthetically for having a park to showcase, not a culverted river. The water flow is interesting. I live on the Clinton River. It's always been rather full, although it does depend on a rainstorm and stuff. So that's interesting. Okay.
Mountain elevation,
Sure.
downtown Pontiac's.
And I would like to think that we're considering
Yeah.
the offset of any electricity potentially generated in the cost for a project like that. I get that it might not even out, it might not even be close, but if we're just saying daylighting for the sake of an aesthetic daylighting for a park, I get that that's entirely sunk cost because any benefit is non-monetary. But monetizing anything would help offset that. Anyway,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah,
Thank you. Commissioner Wyper?
The grant that's still earned but pending, or are we reimbursing ourselves waiting for it, or are we, is it a reimbursable grant, or is it just an outright
It's a
grant?
reimbursement grant. We have not spent it on the project that we're going to spend it on yet, because we wanna be sure we get it before we spend the money.
Okay.
And so one of the delays is that we had to change the principal investigator, which is the name of the person who's in charge of that grant from Oakland County, so it had to be moved from Aaron Quatel to me, and that took months. And so we just learned last week that the principal investigator swap has been approved, and so now we expect that the agreement will be coming in the next few weeks. So I've started looking at getting it back to ED&I as an awarded for the accepting the award to you all, and thinking about September, but if we don't get it in time, that'll be October. And I would ask you all to keep your fingers crossed that we get it that soon.
Yes.
And then there are barriers for, potential barriers for EVs, and you know the report that we get the problems with funding and availability and electrical supply on the campus. I mean, all that stuff is shifting with the EVs and the cars too. I mean, at the production, the change, so
That's right.
you accounting for that? It seems like the.
Well, this was 2024's work, but in 2025, we certainly are. And Mr. Joss has staff who is watching that very closely, and we're working on a transition plan right now. incorporating the new atmosphere in which we're, working.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for the question, it's a good one.
Yeah, I meant to ask about that 400 some odd thousand that we're waiting on Uncle Sam for, so. And I think it's smart, and I saw some nods that you're not entering into those projects until you have some more consistent data. All right, well, we all appreciate this presentation, and we'll now go ahead and prompt the vote to receive and file.
We still need a first and a second, or motion.
Oh,
Yes.
didn't get that yet. Anyone bill-led? Commissioner Johnson, supported by Commissioner Markham, to receive and file the 2024 annual report on sustainability. While they're pulling that up, and people are voting, because this has nothing to do with it, your title, having to say your title and then office of, it's like twice you have to say office and twice you have to say sustainability, which is a lot of words, a lot of syllables. So I don't envy you on that.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate the time, look forward to talking in the future.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you. Next up, we have consent agenda, which is item 9. 3 items under here, item A is fiscal year 2025 appropriation with the Township of Holly for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program Project 58192. Consent agenda item B, fiscal year 2025 appropriation with the Charter Township of Commerce for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program Project number 58211. Item C, fiscal year 2025 appropriation with the City of Farmington Hills for Tri-Party Road Improvement Program Project number 57541. If ever you hate that I read all of that, Commissioner Wiper is my mentor, so.
Oh, that's good.
We will do this is the consent agenda, so I'll take a motion to receive and file it.
I'll move it.
Oh, yeah, recommend to the board, thank you.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Wiper, supported by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays?
Thank you, motion carries. That all goes over to, you say to the full board? Yes, thank you. All right, item 10 is Office of Sustainability Recommendations. We have one item under here, 10A, the Office of Sustainability Extension of Donation of Surplus County Office Supplies Pilot Program. And this is a recommend and forward to finance. If I can get a motion to do so. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, supported by Commissioner Smiley. And it looks like we have Kelly here.
Hi.
Come on to the front here and give us the report that you have here about the Surplus County Office Supplies Program.
Yes, so some of you may remember or recall last
Yeah.
year, the request for the authorization of donation of our surplus county supplies. I'm excited to say that the first ever free sale office supply swap was a success. We had over 29 attendees that came and took over hundreds of items from 12 participating departments across the county. And of the items that were not picked up by county employees, those were taken. We worked with the Neighborhood and Community Development to identify a nonprofit that would accept the office supplies items. Ultimately, we settled on the Sylvan Township Salvation Army. So I'm back again this year requesting an extension of this authorization so that we may have our second free sale program this September. We have a date selected, September 16th. This will occur at the EOB Conference Center, open to all county employees. The difference between last year and this year is we have directly identified a nonprofit in the city of Pontiac, Grace Centers of Hope. This is a shelter program for men and women and children, residents of Oakland County, who were very grateful to accept the donated office items. So whatever is left over from our free sale happening on the 16th will be taken directly and donated and then dispersed evenly across the men and women shelter programs, the daycare centers, and then the executive offices with Grace Centers of Hope. This is a verbal agreement. I've included the conversation had in the report that I provided. And so far, we have approximately 10 participating departments this year, but we expect that number to increase.
Okay, and when you say verbal agreement between,
Yes, sorry, this is direct contact from our office with the Grace Centers of Hope.
okay, okay.
Yeah, we went through Corp Council to see if there was an agreement, like a written agreement that needed to be. But they said as long as we provided in this,
Okay.
we would be okay.
Questions from the committee? Commissioner Johnson, I see your name there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I didn't push that.
So, all right, a few thoughts, but my one leading thought is that my dilemma here is the same as my dilemma was last year for this program. Do you remember what my dilemma was last year?
I recall, yes,
Do you know what I'm about to say?
yes.
So
I wasn't
why?
here, tell me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and it's like substance of it is great. Planning an event specifically without authorization of the board, I don't love. And last year, the event was already planned before asking for board authorization to do the event. And here too, the event is scheduled to be held on September 16th, even though the current authorization expires on September 2nd. So like, I don't anticipate us having a problem, but I really don't like this. It's not good practice. So that's
Noted.
that.
No, I completely understand. I think yeah, thanks, Julie. I think that the basis of planning the event is to, regardless of whether those items get donated, save the county money by not having departments purchase office supplies items that we have currently sitting in other departments. I think in the future, one of your comments last year too was a policy amendment as opposed to a resolution.
Yeah,
So being that this is a pilot program, I think that was the basis of just having the event, was because even if we were not able to donate these items, there would still be benefit to the county,
sure.
so.
Again, not opposed on the substance. I just, yes, don't love
Understood.
pre-planning without authorization, yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to recall what the consternation, I know I had consternation last year about it too. I was like, what was it exactly?
The policy item was a big part of
Yeah,
it too
yeah.
last year.
So we want to exercise just like with parks, I'm always like, did this go through parks yet? So, I just always like to make sure the checks and balances of the system we've developed are actionable. And so this may seem like small banana, small peas or whatever, but another department might hear like, oh, well, we'll just put it on the calendar and then we'll ask the board. So we want to avoid that. I think that's the umbrella. Russia, if you're listening, no, I'm kidding. Commissioner Smiley, you're up next.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm just back here, I'm not quite sure I understand what the problem was with it.
The
They kind
event
of
is
like-
scheduled
they did-
before the approval of the ability to have the
Oh.
event.
Oh, okay. So, but if you said no,
Yeah,
then they would have had to, there would have been a lot of, backtracking and, oh, I see, okay, it's a little awkward, I got you, okay.
Except we would have the event anyway. Even if we can't donate the stuff that isn't taken from other departments, we would still have the event.
okay, you will still have the event, and so I think.
And so what we're asking for is permission to donate the stuff that's left over. If we're not able to donate the stuff that's left over, then I guess we would put it back in a closet
That's the
and
part,
wait
yeah.
for next year and see if somebody wants it then.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So,
The
and
event-
I just wondered, like, with that clarity, does that help, Commissioner Johnson, in how you see this? Because certainly, if it doesn't, we could revisit, and if there is a board approval for some piece of something, and you feel that it requires the whole thing to be approved by ED&I, certainly we can keep that in our minds.
That doesn't really change how I feel. I mean, so I chair a committee, I oversee several departments, just like Commissioner Smith-Charles and Commissioner Markham. And what I don't want, and which isn't really just sustainability, what I don't want is, I do have my departments that hear, oh, the board is just a yes person, they'll stand by anything that we do, it's fine, just shove it through. And I take joy now in saying, no, you can't go back to the drawing board, I'm not letting you do this. because I don't like that. So I don't really have a problem with this specific, and I didn't have a problem with it last year either. I just do have a problem with various departments thinking, oh, it's fine, Brendan's a nice person, let's just shove it through and call it a. I could name names, there are departments way worse than yours.
Yeah, we could name names, but point taken, super valuable. Thank you, Julie, for acknowledging, I'm coming right back to you, acknowledging the little bit of gap here in that, and making it clear that the event itself is kind of departmental, and at your departmental level, the donation, you wouldn't even be here if, in front of us, if not for the donation
Yes.
part of the surplus. Okay, Commissioner, back to you, sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine, no, so kind of two-part thing, just, we call it an extension, it's really just, they wanna do it again because it was successful. Okay,
Yeah.
I was unclear why we're calling it an
Pilot
extension.
2.0.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, and then the only other thing, more first review is, how do you promote this event? How do you let everybody know that this is going on?
Yeah, so we are working with HR to do internal communication, so we have save the dates planning on being pushed out, and then those will go through the Telegraph. And then we have flyers and then the hero, like the TVs and the EOB.
Gotcha,
And so it'll be just internal communications.
that's all you need,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense, okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
And we also have SEN.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So we have our Sustainability Champion Network. This is an internal group for county employees that are passionate about sustainability and wanna see, positive change in Oakland County. And so we kind of utilize them as a task force to help us get information out about initiatives that are happening around the county through the Office of Sustainability, facilities, or any of our other collaborating departments. So we work through them too, and they can share that with their own departments and other Oakland County staff as well.
Terrific, I like that. Commissioner Wyper?
And it was follow up on what you just asked, but I mean, have you done lessons learned? Okay, here's what worked last time and didn't work last time, and about getting the word out and more participation. So are you doing all that and making it better? Or-
Yes, yeah, so we started the planning about 2 months earlier this year, which has helped too with the kind of getting the word out and sharing information. But also one of the things that I really wanted to focus on with this rendition of the free sale pilot program 2.0 is data and metric collection. So we will have an itemized list and have an exact number of items that were taken and items that are going to be donated. And then additionally, another thing that we learned is having an verbal agreement with a nonprofit beforehand, well in advance, so that we have, I think last year part of the, one of the questions was, how was the nonprofit decided? And so I wanted to come here today to you all to say, this is a nonprofit in Oakland County that supports, shelters for children, men and women around Oakland County. Oakland County residents will directly benefit from the items.
Thank you.
Great questions, everyone. Anything else before we do our vote? All right, so this is a prompt for the extension of donation of surplus county office supplies pilot program. You can prompt the vote.
With 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Great, motion carries. See you in finance. Thank you. Next up, facilities, number 11 on our agenda. From sustainability to steam tunnel improvements. Isn't that fun?
Wow.
It's about to get exciting.
We do it all.
I'll take a motion to recommend and forward to finance 11A facilities management steam tunnel improvements. Moved by Commissioner Wyper, supported by Commissioner Taylor. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Ed Joss, the Director of Facilities Management. And the resolution before you is for the design services that we will need to bid out the the repairs, replacement of sections of our steam tunnel system on campus. SME is the engineering firm, and the total estimated cost is $2,897,500. And with that, I'm sure you have plenty of questions, so I'll just turn it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. So, people still in the profession of steam tunnel maintenance, I'll just call it, is it hard to find a vendor who's capable to do what we're looking for?
Not necessarily, you know, and maybe you're asking that question because steam is kind of going the way of the dodo bird, right? But we do have a, you know, pretty extensive steam tunnel system moving throughout the campus. And it does does allow our steam lines to get to the various buildings that use steam, which I think we're about right around 13 of our buildings are on steam. But the tunnels are also utilized for other utilities. So we have electrical feeders that go through them. IT has their fiber lines running through them. We have our coax lines running through them. So they're made up of primarily concrete and then sections also of metal. And because they're underground, they corrode, so we on a regular basis need to do sample core testing to see the conditions of them. And based on those conditions, this firm here then will put together all of the specs and all of the drawings that are needed to go through and do all the replacements and repairs.
So SME, what did you say?
SME,
SME,
Soil Materials Engineers, yes.
oh, okay, I needed to keep reading further down. They provided the best value.
Yes.
I do want to open up to commissioners on questions because I can get into wanting to look at schematics. So I want to make sure we address what's coming before us in terms of the fiscal part because there is a budget amendment attached to this. But it sounds like it's necessary. It's kind of a necessary to keep things cranking along smoothly and safely. And then I'm sure every question you get is always followed up with, how does this relate to Pontiac? You know, our big move and things like that. So hypothetically, someone else moves into where we are, you know, some other whatever, and they would then be happy that we've spent some funds to make sure that this steam tunnel infrastructure is nice, safe, and sound. Like is it adding value? Is it essentially adding value to what we have here at the county?
Yes, and going back to your original point, yes, it's a safety issue, right? I mean, if we continue to let these tunnels deteriorate and not make the needed repairs or replacements, they could crumble and cave in.
Right.
And then, you know, hypothetically, if we were to, let's say, sell a building on campus, the way that our tunnel system is set up that runs all through the campus on both sides of Telegraph, even if there is a tunnel that somehow is connected to that building, if we sell the building, we would still own and maintain the tunnel system because it's used to connect
Okay.
all the other buildings on campus.
Could this be revenue generating? No, or maybe this is a conversation for later.
No, I have that question.
Yeah, I mean, if we're maintaining it, but if you have an answer, you're welcome to. If this is kind of hypothetical, we can come back to it in another instance, but.
If we can do that, I'd appreciate that, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Don't want to get ahead of the bids. So I'm in good shape. Anyone else have any questions on this? Apologize if your hand's up and I didn't see it. Mr. Smiley, is this your hand up for this item?
It is.
Okay, please, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, first of all, I learned a lot with this particular, item that I didn't know we had a steam tunnel system. So I did just a little research trying to, understand it better. I see that we did some maintenance in 2018. And that made me think, well, is it the entire system that gets checked, maintained, or is there portions of it that you kind of take turns with throughout, as they're, as these, as a little process, a system? That's basically my question is.
Yeah, no, it's a great question,
And then-
and I was expecting it.
Oh, okay, then just while you're at it, will we need to do it again in 7 years? Is that kind of the cycle?
Yep, so what we've been doing is continually evaluating the system, finding our priority areas, allocating CIP money, the funds that we have, and then addressing those areas, right? As mentioned in the resolution, we're gonna be embarking on some bond funds that are gonna help us get caught up on some deferred maintenance and some capital projects, right? And these tunnels are part of that. So what has happened here is we have done testing on the entire tunnel system, all of it. And based on those core samples that we've taken, we've been able to evaluate the condition and then prioritize. And I think Brett, right around a half a dozen to 20 different sections is how it was split up. And so what will happen is, now that we have that information, the engineers will then put together the drawings and specs for all of the repairs, all the replacements that are needed for the entire system. And then when we do get the bond funds that we're anticipating, then we will be able to prioritize which sections we're going to repair. And then that of course will have to take place over the course of several years. It may be, what, Brett, like 3 or plus years in order to address all of the areas that need work.
Okay, interesting. And then since 2018, so has there been any failures, hotspots that have popped up that you had to deal with kind of an emergency basis, or has the system been pretty well maintained and it hasn't given you any big problems?
We haven't had any emergencies. I would say that we've been able to maintain it just enough to avoid an emergency. And that's why we're looking forward to this bond funding so that we can really address things like this that need to be addressed so that we don't have any emergencies.
Oh, you feel like we were vulnerable to since 2018?
I don't think vulnerable.
Is that the word? But it sounds like
I don't think vulnerable. I think that along the way we were identifying areas that needed immediate attention, and that's where we focused the funding that we had is on that. And that's, I think I've spoke to it in this committee in the past, right? There's been talk of, hey, it sure would be nice if we had some funding so that we could do, maybe a toilet room here or do something here. But, like I think I mentioned actually the last time I was here, is because we have had limited CIP funding available, we've really had to focus those funds on things like this that are critical, like steam tunnel, roofs, parking lots, those types of things that people really don't see and aren't flashy, and unfortunately sometimes prevent us from doing some of those other things that are more visible. So that's, again, when we see an area that's a higher priority, we do address it and don't cross our fingers, but that just doesn't allow us to,
I see what you're saying.
funding. And again, and that's why, over the past couple of years, we've been working closely with management and budget on what we need to do with our capital improvements and with our maintenance. And that is why we're gonna be bonding soon for funds to get where we should be with that stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Josh.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple people in front of you, Mr. Wyford. Just so you know, Ed, when you said CIP, both the finance chair and, oh my God, Cheryl, I was like Sandy, Susan, Cheryl, both nodded in collaboration with your point about the CIP. Over to you, Commissioner Markham. Sorry, Cheryl.
Just a point of clarification, this is all capital money in this bond? There's no planning or the preparation for this? Is that funded separately? How are we paying the company?
Cheryl Johnson, Deputy CFO. I think, is your question more for this particular project, does this 2.5 million include the planning and all of that stuff? Okay,
Right.
I think that's more you.
Yeah, okay, so, and I may be explaining more than what you're asking, but I'll try to make it quick, so bear with me. So the 2.9 million is for the design services. And that funding is currently not in the CIP. That funding is coming from the general fund, the strategic investment plan fund. So we're fronting that money to prepare for the bond money that's coming. Because what we don't wanna do is, and I'm just throwing out a number, let's just say the bond is for 300 million and that allows us to do 300 million worth of deferred capital and maintenance projects. If it takes us, 10 to 15 years to spend that money, the stuff that we start doing now is gonna need, right, maintenance again, we're gonna be kind of right back to where we are. So, we want to do as much of this stuff as we can in parallel, get as much of this work done in the shortest amount of time. And a project like this takes a lot of planning, and so what we're trying to do is plan these projects and have them in the hopper and ready to go so that when we do get the bond funds, then we can bid the projects and we can start doing what we need to do.
That's where I was confused. So this is really the upfront piece of it that you're,
It will be included in the bonding, so.
right, but you're pulling it ahead so that
Yes,
you
because you
get the work
can
done.
legally include the planning and all of that stuff in the bond dollars. They'll be part of that additional capital when it gets added to the books. This is just a way to kind of front the money that we have. We're basically lending it to ourselves. I've spent Monday and Tuesday meeting with underwriters and bond people through the RFP process. So I can tell you that that is ongoing. As you all know, we have the OPEB bonds, which take up about $35 million a year in bond payments for the next 2 years. So we're looking at ways to wrap additional dollars around that and not having to wait 2 years so we can get the bond dollars. We've been talking about the Pontiac project. We're trying to make sure that we also have room to address, all of the capital items that Plant Moran brought to the table a few years ago, making sure that, we can maintain the campus, keep it running. One of the things that we've done is, we went from $2 million a year given to Ed and his folks to maintain the campus, which is not nearly enough. We've grown that up to 6 million now, but trying to grow all these together, the reason we're both at the table is because we are working very closely with them to make sure that we're doing the highest and best use of the bond dollars and the cost that it'll be to the county.
Well, I certainly am glad to see that we are committing more to maintaining the campus as well as what's going on down in Pontiac. I mean, Ed, you and I have talked about this a million times, and I'm glad to see that we're really actively doing this and that you two groups are in the mix together. Because this $2 million a year for maintenance that we were living with, that's a long time legacy that we're trying to deal with now. And I appreciate that you're doing the hard work to make that happen because it's not popular and you're cleaning up kind of a mess by doing this. But it is making you go through and look at everything and what do we keep, what don't we, and all that. So I think that's really important, what you're doing. And thank you for clarifying that this is really for the planning
Yes.
aspect of it. And I like that too, because we want to be prepared.
And then to that point too, this is the first step that's needed anyway, because with these drawings and specs, this is what we'll use working with our procurement department to go out for bids. And then when we receive those bids back, then we'll know how much it's gonna cost to address each section, and then we can prioritize that way and then schedule out accordingly.
And this is the first of a few of those projects.
That's what it
that you're
sounds
gonna
like,
see
yeah.
us going out, and you'll see Ed and his team going out, getting the plans so that we have a comprehensive picture of really what it's gonna take to bring things back to where they need to be.
Are there
Another
any
next item.
granting agencies out there
Spoiler
that have grants available for this kind of thing?
So, not as far as I'm aware of for like these type of repairs. And I say that I'm fairly confident that there's not, just because between folks on my team and folks on Julie's team, we have folks like looking into every grant dollar that we can get and rebates.
Okay. I think that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
You get to ask again later on if you like. Commissioner Taylor, please.
Please. I just had, I had a question on the bonds. I was trying to see, and I don't know if I missed it or what, but how much, do we know how many dollars? We don't know yet.
We don't, and I think that's part of what these planning things are gonna do. I think we're talking about 6 million eventually all in to 6 or 8 million to look at the planning for all those major things that have to happen around the campus. And then we'll figure out what the bond is. In 27, our last bond payment of $35 million falls off.
Okay.
So we know that we will open up $35 million a year of bond principal and interest capacity. So that's what we're talking about with the underwriters and things like that. It's been a long time since the county has taken any substantial bonds to the market. So really the stuff we're hearing is, I mean, we have a great credit rating, it's high dollars, it's capital stuff, they're gonna be really popular bonds. So we're trying to make sure that from all ends of it, we are making sure that we get the best bang for our buck, realizing what we have in the bond market for AAA bonds from a county
Okay.
standpoint.
Okay, that was my question, because I didn't see it and I thought maybe I missed. Okay,
No.
thank you. Thank you very much. That was it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner
As
Whitmer.
long as you're there, I already asked you earlier today. Coming through these committees, I haven't seen where we've
Yeah,
loaned the
it's
money
been a very long
for
time.
future bonding. That's, I mean, it's kind of a different tact, so.
And going through the RFP process earlier this week, that was one of the things that every one of the people that we met with said was like, this is substantial. You know, cause we know we're talking a couple $100 million, you know, for Pontiac and some of these things, we could be talking a significant amount. And the higher amount that you do take to the bond market, then you get the bigger folks to play the game. So I think that we're doing this mindfully, we're doing it intentionally, and we're not like rushing to make sure we've got dollars in, because we are fortunate that we've got some cash flow in the fund balance, but we are making sure that we put in all of these resolutions that these dollars will be paid back by bond dollars, because, you know, we know that one of the things that we're looking at is we can't wait 2 years for this stuff. We need to start making these changes and doing our Pontiac things right now. So we're looking for underwriters and bond organizations to come to us and give us some ideas how to wrap it around what we have and make sure that we can get the dollars now and not really defer the payment, but any ways that we can make those substantial payments after the OPEB bonds are paid off in 27.
All right, good deep dive. And I'll save my finance-based questions for later. I'll keep it to economic development infrastructure here. So if all hearts and minds are clear, I don't see any more questions, hands raised. We can go ahead and prompt the vote on the steam tunnel improvements.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries. Takes us to 10B, which is 10B, which is Facilities Management, Public Works Drive, and Village Drive paving projects. A motion to recommend and forward to finance. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, supported by myself, and we can carry on. Go ahead, Ed.
Yes, thank you. So this would be for the Public Works Drive and Village Drive paving replacement. As was mentioned earlier, we are and thank you, Commissioner Markham for pointing it out again, but we do take a holistic look at our facilities, our infrastructure and everything. And this is similar to the previous project that I mentioned where we do an evaluation of all of our parking lots, all of our roads, and then based on that, assess priorities. And this is our top priority right now, this drive. So what we're asking for here is total cost for the project, which includes the construction, the engineering services, and then some contingency. But again, like what was mentioned before, using the general fund, strategic investment plan funding upfront to allow us to get a head start on this in preparation for the bond funds.
All right. So there's a couple of maps in here that detail kind of where exactly we're looking. Let me throw it to Commissioner Johnson.
Thanks. So what would the estimated lifespan be on this road after the project?
That's a good question. I mean, I wish I knew. Do we have any feedback from the engineers on what it might be? I'm not sure we can get anyone to answer that because we live in the state of Michigan, right? So, I mean, I've driven on roads that were paved and 18 months later they had potholes in them. I wish I had an answer for you. I just don't.
Okay, no, that's fair. I guess I was just wondering with Public Works specifically because, I mean, they are very actively looking to leave that building. And
half of us, if I can just clarify. So in the Public Works building, that's where my office is and that's where the majority of my team is.
are you guys not also planning on leaving? Not as urgently as, no?
No, we are not. No, and then as you mentioned, the WRC, they occupy the second story of the Public Works building. And so they have a lot of vehicles and large equipment, but so do we, and we are staying.
Okay. Well, then it's a moot point, so thank you.
We're still a different color now. All right, well,
I have a question. I didn't punch in.
sure, Commissioner Markham.
So because of all the equipment that's there, the WRC and your stuff, is the road specified
Yes.
to be
Yes.
the heavy equipment taking kind of, I don't know what
Exactly.
we call it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Waste and all that
yeah,
stuff.
a lot of dump trucks and heavy
Correct.
excavators and that, yeah,
So it's gonna be refurbished back to that same level of,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, that's all taken into account.
All right. I believe the Village Drive map, that green area between Village and Telegraph, WRC, or someone, I don't know if it was WRC, we gave permission to do some work there. If anyone remembers, it's like happening now. I'm just thinking about in other areas, and I don't know if this is kind of what you were just saying, Commissioner Markham, when you do the road, will we have MDOT construction crews or WRC construction stuff messing it up? So I'm just trying to elevate the idea that if, I feel like we just approved something in the last few months in that right of way, in that easement. And they're gonna be coming and going, and so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so what you may be referring to, if I'm following you, is I believe WRC recently came before you to ask for an easement for where they're planning their new facility, which is off of Vanguard.
Oh, no, this would be something else, but what I'll do is I'll work with.
It's the drain that runs under Telegraph. I think that's what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's
The mainland
the
drain.
mainland drain, right.
Yeah.
I think that's the project where we talked about them being out there on Telegraph and on this
Yeah,
property.
I remember asking
So-
about like shrubbery, would they be putting back trees, things like that, so.
Right, oh, the right of way, yes, yeah,
Mhm.
which is a different location than what this,
Oh,
this
okay,
project
okay, that's
is,
my,
yes.
that was my question.
Yes, yep.
All right. Okay. Well, nothing further on this item, we can go ahead and prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries, thank you.
Thank you.
11B, we'll see you in finance.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And that takes us to our second public comment. If there's anyone here who'd like to address this committee on anything under the sun. 3 minutes though. Seeing no one making their way to the front, I'll go ahead and close our first public comment, or second public comment. Is there any other business to come before this awesome committee? Seeing none, then this meeting is adjourned.